Hello everyone and welcome. Well, today we'll be talking politics. Of course, not politics, let's say we'll be talking reform, we'll be talking dedication, we'll be talking planning, determination, honesty, I don't know, dedication. Okay. Welcome to page 53, by the way. Franklin D. Roosevelt, one of the greatest US presidents ever, and of course, one of my favorites, believe it or not. Okay, let's see. So, everyone, look at the text, or just open up your books to page 53 and take a listen, please. Well, the 32nd President of the United States of America, Franklin D. Roosevelt, is referred to as the second greatest US President of all time. FDR was elected President an unprecedented 4 times and served for 12 years until his death in 1945. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was born in Hyde Park, New York on January 30th, 1882. Okay. So, the 32nd President of the United States of America, Franklin D. Roosevelt, is referred to as the second greatest US President of all time. So, everyone, the guy here, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or Franklin D. Roosevelt, or in short, FDR, was the 32nd US President. 32nd US President. And he is referred, he is known, he is mentioned, okay, when people just speak about him. So he is referred to as the second greatest US President of all time. Okay, the second greatest US President. I think the first greatest US President ever might be Abraham Lincoln. Okay, so we have Abraham Lincoln, Mr. FDR, and George Washington among the most popular US presidents ever. So Mr. Roosevelt was the second greatest US president. FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was elected president, US president, an unprecedented 4 times. So everyone, people chose him, he was elected, he was chosen 4 times. He was elected president an unprecedented 4 times. Unprecedented, everyone, means it had never happened before, okay? It happened just once that time. It was kind of unique, special. So he was elected 4 times and served for 12 years until his death in 1945. So what happened in 1945? Mr. Roosevelt died. Okay, die, remember, the past form is died, and death is the noun form. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was born in Hyde Park, New York, on January 30th, 1882. So, Mr. Roosevelt was born in Hyde Park. Where is Hyde Park, everyone? Hyde Park is in the U.S. Okay. So, guys, yeah. This is Hyde Park, everyone. It is an area, a neighborhood in New York City. You see, a great place to live in, and of course, to be born in. Okay, so Mr. Roosevelt was born in Hyde Park, New York, when on January 30th, everyone, remember, we say in January, but we say on January 30th, okay? On January 30th, okay? By the way, we say 30th, please pay attention. So in January, on January 30th, 1882. Okay. In 1900, Roosevelt entered Harvard University, where he became romantically involved with his fifth cousin. They married quite young and had 5 children in a short amount of time. FDR entered public service by running for and winning the New York State Senate in 1910. Later, President Wilson appointed him as Assistant Secretary of the Navy. Again, I'd like to share some pictures. Okay, so let me see. Okay, here, everyone, this is the Roosevelts. So you see Mr. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. This is his beautiful wife, Eleanor Roosevelt. Remember, they were cousins, okay? They fell in love. So Mr. Roosevelt and Eleanor Roosevelt, they were cousins. They fell in love in university. They got married, and these are their great children. They had 5 kids in a short period of time. Okay, happily married. Then, everyone, this is the U.S. Senate. Okay, Senate. All right. Well, everyone, these guys, the people here, are members of the Senate, and they are senators. Okay. So President Roosevelt once used to be a senator. And this one, believe it or not, this is Harvard University. I know it looks like a castle, but it is Harvard University, one of the best universities ever in the world, Harvard University. Then, guys, this is President Wilson. Okay, President Wilson. Well, President Wilson appointed him as the Assistant Secretary of Navy. And speaking of secretary, guys, you might know this guy, Mike Pompeo. He's the Secretary of State, okay, in America, the Secretary of State. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so where were we? Here. So, in 1900, Roosevelt entered Harvard University. So, everyone, he became a university student. He entered university. Where means in that university, in Harvard University, he became romantically involved with his 5th cousin. So he became romantically involved. Everyone means he fell in love with his 5th cousin. By the way, everyone, just a minute, I'm typing something. So your 5th cousin, guys, means you had, of course, they had the same great grandparents. Okay, guys? So, Mr. Roosevelt, Delano Roosevelt, and Eleanor Roosevelt, they had the same great grandparents. They were cousins. So, they entered Harvard University. Okay, they fell in love. And they married quite young. They married pretty young, when they were young, and had 5 children in a short amount of time. Okay, remember the picture? So they had 5 great kids in a short amount of time. FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, entered public service. Public service means he started working for the government, okay? For the government or its departments. How? By running for and winning the New York State Senate in 1910. So, everyone, in 1910, he became a candidate. He ran for the Senate, okay? He won it. So he became a senator. He entered the U.S. Senate. Okay, he entered the U.S. Senate. By the way, U.S. Senate means the place where they just make some rules. Okay, it is one of the 2 parliaments in the U.S. Okay, U.S. Senate and Congress. So he became a candidate. He ran for the Senate, and he was elected. He was chosen, and he became a senator in 1910. Later, then, President Wilson, remember the picture, the U.S. president back then, at that time, was President Wilson. He appointed him. Appoint means everyone choose. He selected him as Assistant Secretary of the Navy. Everyone, Navy means armed forces that fight at sea. Okay, armed forces that fight at sea. Secretary here means minister, someone who is in charge of part of the government. Okay, so an official that is in charge of the department of a government. For example, Mr. Zarif is the Secretary of State in So, Mr. Roosevelt was chosen as assistant. Assistant means someone who helps, okay? So, he was the assistant for the Secretary of the Navy, okay? The Assistant Secretary of the Navy in America. Okay, let's move on. In 1932, Roosevelt was elected the President of the United States. He took office at the depths of the Great Depression, when the country was in the midst of the worst economic depression it had ever seen. Within his first 100 days in office, Roosevelt aggressively implemented the New Deal, a series of economic programs focused on relief, recovery, and reform to rapidly rebuild and regulate the economy. So, guys, what happened in 1932? In 1932, Mr. Roosevelt was elected the President of the United States. He was chosen as the U.S. President. He took office, he became President. Took office means he became President at the depths of the Great Depression. Okay, at the depths of means everyone when something was just happening, it shows the excuse me, the seriousness of the problem, the situation. Everyone, when we talk about the Great Depression, it means the severe economic problems that we had in America. It happened following the Wall Street crash in 1929, and of course in the early 30s. Many banks and businesses, everyone failed in that time. Millions of people lost their jobs, and economy wasn't doing so well. So we call it the Great Depression. So Great Depression, we have a meaning here. When, it means when the country was in the midst of the worst economic depression it had ever seen. So the economy wasn't doing well. Many banks and businesses went bankrupt. They lost their money, and of course, millions of people became unemployed. Within his first 100 days in office, okay, during his first 100 days while he was president, Roosevelt aggressively implemented the New Deal. Okay? Well, everyone, aggressively here, remember, aggressively here means with determination. With determination. He was determined to do something. He had a strong will. So, Mr. Roosevelt aggressively, with great determination, implemented. Well, implement means carry out, to put into action. He implemented the New Deal. The New Deal. Guys, when we talk about the New Deal means a program of economic and social changes that was introduced by President Roosevelt in 1933. So the aims of this deal was to help people who had lost their jobs or their property because of the Great Depression. Everyone, this deal, this plan, this program included money for farmers to borrow, and an important program of public works. Okay, just I don't know, working on new roads, public buildings, just all paid by the government. So he carried out the New Deal. So what is the New Deal? New Deal was a series of groups of economic programs which these programs focused on relief means help, recovery, just getting better, making better, improvement, and reform, some changes, to quickly build again, and regulate the economy. Regulate, just bring it together by setting some rules. Remember, the country was at the depths of the Great Depression. The economy wasn't so good, and people had lots of financial problems. Okay, next part. By 1939, the world was on the brink of war. The world was on the brink of war. Hostilities in Europe and Asia were well underway. On December 8th, 1941, Congress declared war on Japan. Germany and Italy then declared war on the United States. America had entered World War II. Roosevelt appeared as a true warlord and successfully led the United States and the Allied forces. So, By 1939, the world was on the brink of war. Okay, the World War II was going to happen. It was just around the corner. Hostility means just fighting. Okay, in Europe and Asia were well underway. Well underway means they were happening. Yeah, you could easily notice that a war was about to start, to begin. On December 8th, 1941, Congress declared war on Japan. So what happened, everyone? On December 8th, 1941, U.S. Congress declared war on Japan. It means the United States attacked Japan. And by the way, Congress means a group of people elected to make laws in the U.S. Okay, it consists of the Senate and the House of Representatives. So, U.S. Congress declared war on Japan. America attacked Japan. So, as a result, therefore, Germany and Italy then declared war on the United States. So, they attacked America. America had entered World War II. So World War II started and America got involved. Roosevelt appeared as a true warlord. He acted as a true leader, warlord, and successfully, with success, led the United States and the Allied forces. Everyone, led is the past form of lead. So, he led the United States and the Allied forces. Everyone, the Allied forces or the Allies, the countries including the US, the UK, and USSR, and France, they fought against the Axis. Yeah? So we have the Allied forces and the Axis in the Second World War. Okay? Okay. So, here, okay, everyone, you see we have the Axis powers and the Allied forces. So, Germany, Italy, and Japan, they were the Axis, and the Allies or Allied forces, we had Great Britain, France, Soviet Union, Russia and some countries, and the United States. So Axis and Allied forces. So President Roosevelt led the United States and the Allies or the Allied forces. Well, in 1944, Roosevelt was in terrible health due to polio. He had contracted 23 years back when he was 39 years old. It did confine him to a wheelchair for over 2 decades. Yet, he ran for the fourth term, for he believed the country needed a continuity of leadership. As long as the war was going on, Roosevelt believed that he needed to stay in office. On April 12, 1945, less than 3 months after beginning his fourth term, Franklin Roosevelt died at Warm Springs, Georgia. He was the longest serving U.S. president in history. Again, guys, before we proceed, so President Wilson, Senate, okay, the Roosevelts. Okay, everyone, you see President Roosevelt here, and this is a wheelchair. So he was confined. He was confined to a wheelchair. Everyone, he had to use a wheelchair, and this is the Warm Springs. It is, let's say, a city and area in Georgia, the USA. So. Warm Springs, and Mr. Roosevelt in a wheelchair. Okay, wheelchair. So, well, in 1944, Roosevelt was in terrible health. He had some health issues, health problems, due to due to means because of, okay, because of, due to polio. Polio is the short form of poliomyelitis. Yeah. Poliomyelitis. It is a serious illness, disease, and everyone, someone suffering from polio becomes permanently unable to move their body. Okay, they can't walk, for example. So a serious illness, polio. So owing to, because of polio, he had contracted 23 years back. So, everyone, contract means to catch an illness, to get an illness. So, Mr. Roosevelt caught or got this illness 23 years back when he was 39 years old. So, he suffered from polio and he was in terrible health. He had some serious health issues. It did confine him to a wheelchair for 2 decades. Decade, everyone remember, means 10 years. Decade, century, and millennium. 2 decades, 20 years. So, it did confine him to a wheelchair. It, everyone, here refers to polio. It did confine him means it confined him to a wheelchair. He had to use a wheelchair, everyone. He couldn't move unless he used a wheelchair. Okay, some people just are confined to a bed. They are confined to a wheelchair. They can't move. You know, some old people, for example, we say he or she is confined to a bed. They just lie on the bed all the time. And Mr. Roosevelt was confined to a wheelchair. He needed to use a wheelchair in order to move around. Yet means, however, he ran for the 4th term. He became a candidate for the 4th term. Everyone, term means the period of time someone is in the office. For example, his 1st term, his 2nd term, his 4th term. So he ran for the 4th term. 4, guys, 4 here means because. 4 here means because. 4, he believed the country. 4, because he believed America needed a continuity of leadership. He believed that America needed him. America needed him to just lead the country. Continuity means not stopping or not changing. So continuity of leadership. America needed him. As long as the war was going on, okay, the World War was going on, Roosevelt believed that he needed to stay in office. He needed to stay in office means he needed to be the US president, okay? Because he believed in himself and he thought he was a great warlord and leader. On April 12th, 1945, less than 3 months after beginning his 4th month, so on April 12th, 1945, less than 3 months after beginning his fourth term as the US President, Franklin Roosevelt died at Warm Springs. He died at Warm Springs, remember, a city in Georgia. He was the longest serving US president in history. Okay? He was the longest serving. He was the US president for 4 terms, an unprecedented 4 terms. Unbelievable. So he passed away on April 12th, 1945. R.I.P. Okay, that's it, everyone. We just talked business. Okay, of course we didn't. We just read a text about one of U.S. presidents. Okay, so guys, hope you've enjoyed today's class, this episode, and hope the explanations and the pictures were clear enough. Wishing you all the best, everyone. Take good care of yourselves and